But it's nice to see a whole different crowd today. I'm not sure if there are some newcomers, but I'm just gonna start anyway. So we are pioneering field, as Derek has already introduced us. This is Ekra. I'm Nadiah. So to start with, this is how we actually started. We started with five steps, not good, but it's been on and off about 10 years. Before that, it was we did do some bike travel, but it wasn't with our own bikes. So in 2016 is when we really started getting a lot of experience on our own. So this part of Japan, to get to it, we had to use trains. So at the start of our tour, we had all these on trains from Kyoto to Kanagawa, and then right at the end from Bakaoka to Takayama, which is a mountainous area, and then back to Tokyo before we came back to jail. So what we're going to be covering in this session is basically how to get around with your bikes here in Malaysia and also abroad. From some of the experiences that we've had. I will again preface this by saying this isn't the only way to travel with your bikes. We're not saying this is the best way to do it. This is just how we've been doing it. So it may or may not help you. You may or may not want to do it the way we do. Hopefully you find this useful. Okay. So, do you want to start?
Alright. So we had our first session, we basically covered what we thought were bikepacking essentials. So we basically covered a little bit of packing, what we the things that we carried with us, from like emergency kit, the cooking essentials, and a couple of other things. So for this session, we had a lot of people ask, so how do you do transit? So when you're traveling with a bike, where do you go? How do you carry your bike when you're not riding in? What are the transit points like? Because there's a lot of questions like, how do you take the bus? How do you take the train? What happens when you're on the train and you go to all these different places? So this session, we're going to cover a little bit more of that. So Nadia will start with how it all began.
Okay, so after we came back from the trip in Japan, one happened because you notice the bikes are different. So in Malaysia, we first started with KTMB, which is the KTMB delivery service. This was great because what you could do was send your bikes to any KTM station and they will forward it to a station of your choice where they would hold it until you arrive. Usually it takes like 1 day. So we would, let's say we want to go to Penang. So we would send our bikes at the Kuala Lumpur station or wherever, and then they would forward it to the Waterwood station. We would take a train, and so we would have to grab and pick up the bikes on the day, unpacking, and if you notice the stops packing for packing. So with the packing, and we would just straight away right out of the stations. So this is great, and they actually, funny enough, this service was actually in existence since the colonial era. It's just a lot of people didn't know about it. Because back in the day, it wasn't motorbikes, it was bicycles. So you could forward your bikes using the train. Well, the bad news is they discontinued this service during the pandemic. I know it's very sad.
Not during the pandemic. 1 year after. 2020.
I would say that's still in the pandemic. Yeah, so we could cross borders, districts, and all that. But then they killed the service because apparently it wasn't profitable. Now, politics and KTM aside, we won't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but what we did know was that it was a bit of an unsustainable system in the sense where they would take your bikes and forward it using a lorry instead of the trains. To me, didn't make sense because the trains are already going along the same route. But never mind, what KTM does is their own thing. So bottom line is we can't use the service anymore. So we had a very long mourning period for KTMB. It was very sad. So we decided we needed to find other options. So in Malaysia, without KTMB, these are your options. Now, you can post your bike, but you haven't technically done
They have for motorcycles.
They have the service for motorcycles with most level. So you can send your bike, but you have to have it packed up
Box.
in a box or in a bag or something secure. You can't just put it in and then be like, okay, fine, we'll send it. No, 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 they don't do that. So it's not like a motorcycle. They'll take the whole thing and forward it, but for a bike, it has to be in box, which is pretty much postage. Like you're posting a parcel, except it's a really big parcel and it's just big ones. So besides posting your bikes, which these are the options that you have to get around. So our favorite is the train. So you can take the KTM commuter, the MRT, the LRT, the ERL, the monorail. It's only in KL anyway, and they except for these things are really small, right? So one thing that you gotta know about these they have different timings. For example, the KTM commuter is all days of the week, except on weekdays you can only go off peak. For PM commuter Untara, it's the opposite. So it's all day weekdays, but on weekends, which is when you have peak travel, there are certain times they won't let you go on board. So if you go Uttara, the KTM commuter is the other way around. Now, not to be confused with EPS and Intercity. Those are different train lines. And I'm pretty sure I've seen W knowledge, which means you know bikes are not allowed on board. Sad, but so for buses, there are two types of buses. Intercity bus like Rapid KL, Rapid Penang, Rapid Kuantan. You can bring foodies on board and put it at the queue section. For express buses, it's a bit tricky. A lot of people complain about it, especially foreigners, because you do need a bus that has common space underneath. Double deckers will not work. They won't allow on board, and a lot of it is sort of touch and go based on the negotiations. The driver says, okay, then we should go. And how much they charge is nothing said. I have had to call out bus companies and say, can I take my bike on board? They say, you deal with the driver. That is legit the answer that I get from them. So,
Not with that, we had a friend recently from Spain, four of them, no issues with the bus. Maybe it's because they're 40s and they see I put my bike to the bus and the bus driver didn't even charge them. Yeah, so it depends. So they have really good luck. So as long as you have space in the cargo compartment of the bus, they can just let you put it on there. So the worst case scenario is the bus driver will ask for 50 ringgit. But the last time we took the bus from Maling to Ipoh, it was free. So we just paid for our normal for ourselves. And then whenever there was space, the bus driver just said, you guys figure out how to put your bikes underneath. So they will help you. You have to figure out how to do that yourself. And
drivers will.
yeah, some drivers will help. But this was, yeah, but this was really busy. There were a lot of people. So we just have to help move the kids manually, take over lead clubs. We'll have a phone about this. So you can
Okay, so in terms of books and ferries, I think everybody knows the Langkawi logo and the Penang logo. A lot of Chinese are quite familiar with it. There's the Bangkok ferry, which is a passenger ferry. You can't sit with your bikes, but they still allowed on board. Boat transfers are a little bit tricky because they're usually like kampong transport. I think the most famous one for Kielans is Sumitili, which is what the driver cyclists usually do. We have another one in Palulinta on our way to Bangkok, but currently the jetty has been destroyed. We haven't been back since. There's also another one we took in across the river mouth at Merdeka. So you have some options there. It's not perfect, but we do have some bike friendly options. So the trains, I think my favorite is probably the ATM and the ERL. So one of the top that is the ERL, then in space. Not all of the train carriages look like that, but generally it's pretty okay if we're taking the KLIA transit in this one. On the right side is the normal train carriage, the KTM user. The one on the bottom left is KTM Targa, which looks pretty much like the older KTM train when it was first introduced And there's massive space for our
It's
bikes.
not loose. It is. We had a friend we saw and it's like, hey, I think I was in high school when this kid was riding.
Okay. So yeah, so um, we have some people who have contacts within KTM. And the last story that we heard is they may consider bikes on board the DPS once they go out of warranty period. Maybe. But that was a couple of years ago, so I don't hold my breath waiting. There is a gorilla hack, which we will not publicly say, but it is possible. So the industry, as you know, is the same thing. So we don't know when we will do that. Our best bet is, the bus, because that takes you through our locations not bound by railway line. So best case scenario on the right is full bikes in, leave it in, and that's it. But we have had other pieces.
Oh yeah. So this was the. So it looks empty. That's because we were the last people. This whole entire thing was full of luggage, so we didn't get in and people took everything up. But in this case, where the cargo space is a lot smaller, it is still possible. Both of the wheels come off, and then we have rubber or Velcro straps. You just make sure everything is tightly bound together so it doesn't slide around. So when the bus stops and you go to the station, you just get the whole entire thing up. So this is basically any bus, any express bus will let you do that. So most of them will let you know it for free, especially if you take everything apart. It just looks like a piece of luggage, and then when they see you do that, and then we usually ask about the bios, and it's like, so this works.
Because the group because you can do this, you have to pay them. If you're on floating bikes, they generally don't charge because you don't take that much space. So if you're ready to floating, then good job. You have a lot more flexibility. So next, this is one of our favorites, the Langkawi Boro. Has anybody taken the Langkawi Boro? Yes, okay, yeah. So you know what I'm talking about, it's very easy. And yes, there is proper white parking, and you sort of have to find a spot in between all of the expensive cars, the Arabs, the Ferraris, and also Rockies. But it is possible. So we love the Langkawi ferry. And I believe somebody argued with me about how, no, this is from Kolkata. No, it's from Kuala Lumpur. So Kolkata is passenger ferry. Our friends did take their bikes on board, but they had to dismantle it and put it in cargo. So slightly different situation, but still possible, I believe. Just look ahead because when we went and year end, it was extremely cold. This is when they were loading cars, but once it was cold, it was completely packed. Like you couldn't even reach past the cars, and you had to sit on top with the passengers. Now, this is the old Penang ferry, to be fair. We had Penang ferry, and it's only 3 or 4, so we're like that, whatever. It's just beautiful photos. We have the old Penang ferry, but as you all know, it's been decommissioned. The new one is smaller, and passenger plus bikes and more wheels. But even though it's smaller, it's more efficient, so it's a lot faster. So the brake is still like it basically is all material by the way. So very easy.
Yeah. So the old ferry took 1 hour. Almost 1 hour, like maybe 45, 50 minutes. The new one is 15 minutes. So you go there and go, roll it, and then hit it across, roll up. Like that.
Very nice. And it's really used in the it's right next to the train station. So roll up from the train station and straight away onto the ferry, and then you're already in Georgetown on the other side, right? Sorry, I missed the old ferries, but
He wants fast.
it was a lot faster. So that's great. You don't even have to get bored in the new ferry. That's shiny and
We
very
basically
nice.
went in, and then we wanted to tire our bikes. I think some photos because they were like in the passenger area. There's like some vending machine drinks, so it's nice. But then we're like, okay, let's like, hey, we're already almost gonna leave the other side. Never mind, next time. So, very good.
Yes, so you can take the Penang ferry with your bikes. Yeah. No, you should try it. It's actually pretty great. It gets a bit full if it's year end. We just went at the end of last year, December. But there is still space for bicycles. So
Actually, if it's full, you definitely want to go on your bike because you don't want to be on the island in the car.
that's because Georgetown was jam packed with people and cars, all from here, almost like me. So next, okay, so what you're looking at, on the left is the Pongo ferry. It doesn't look secure at all, but because it is a ferry, not boat, your bikes aren't gonna be like bouncing around. Fairly safe. If you're worried about it, just tell them to just put it on the floor and it'll be fine. If you're bikepacking or touring, at least your bags will cushion it from any damage. So that was great. We haven't been to Bangkok with the bikes in a couple of years, but we might be going again soon, hopefully. The other two pictures is Pantai Merdeka in Canal, which is a lot more, I would say, too tight if you're looking at it. It's literally take your shoes off and on the ground into the surf and then into the boat. So the boat on the top left, it's actually sitting near the engine, which is a little bit more secure. But the one on the right, which is just right in front, like slapping in the waves, was a bit scary, but thankfully nothing happened. We didn't lose any of our stuff that was on the bike, so it was fine. If you go to like Smirke, which is in or most travels like in Buddhism, it's a very different boat. It's kind of like a Roro as well. So I kind of like those better, but you know, really depends. As long as you can take your bikes on board, I'm pretty happy with it. Aren't you? So, next, in terms of bike cases, this is where it gets interesting. So we use two different bike cases. One is the Richie Redway travel case, and one is the Post Carry case, which we do have here with us today. Both of them are extremely compact because it makes it easy to travel with, and in terms of logistics, much easier. So, let's take a closer look at the Richie travel case. That is indeed a train station. We'll get into that in a bit. But yes, so in terms of the size, it's about the size of the central seat wheel, roughly square. So I'm not a big person. So you can see it's about, well, that bad, not bad. So very easy to travel. How does a bike fit inside it? This whole bike fits inside that travel case. But it doesn't mean it really dismantle, and it fits in sort of like a jigsaw puzzle. But I assure you, it is indeed possible. Pretty sure some of you are familiar with the G case, and it's pretty compact. So next, this is probably Becca's favorite, and I think it's more of an interest for people who don't have travel bikes. This is the most carry case. It's almost the same dimension, just a tiny bit longer. And you don't need a bike that breaks apart to use this case. So it does require dismantling, but everything fits very snugly with the normal bicycle frame. So this to me is probably one of the best options that you can get if you have a normal bicycle.
Yeah, so if you have a normal bicycle that's maybe size 53, 54, it will fit inside this case no problem. The only thing that you have to do is remove the fork and the handlebar, which is not that difficult. It's like three volts. So it does take a little bit of mechanical know-how, but once you get that, you can basically take everything apart. There is a pretty simple instructions inside. And in storage, this is how much space it takes. So it just folds up and it looks just like a golf bag. And when you need to use it, you just unhook everything. And then, after the session, for anyone that's interested, I can go through what it actually looks like. So that bolt just sits in the cupboard, and when it's time to travel, you can pick it up. And then size of the 4 frames, goes inside, it's got wheel lines, everything. And if you have to do short, I don't recommend you go around with a bike on your backpack like that for a long ride. But if you're at airport, you just need to go from one bus to another, and the quick transit, you can at least easily just put it on your back. And then let's say if you are coming from the airport and you have to ride your bike, you can, it's a lot easier than it's about 6 kg, so not terrible. So you can at least just put it on you and then ride where you need to be, and then put it in the storage where you can use most send the case anywhere else. So this one I recommend for this one.
You can take a look at that later if you want. Now, so you want to look at our bikes. We do use bikes that are ready for the suitcase packing. We use the rigid railway system and SNS couplers. So you can take the frame apart and pack them easily into these spaces. The bike that we have today, we only brought one. Who's really want to bring too many things? This bike uses the rigid railway system. So you can have a look at it later if you want to. This is what the SNS couplers look like. So close up, it's sort of like a big clunky steel thing, and there's a special tool you use to take it apart, which is sort of like a spanner, but it's like with the while essentially it's very easy to use. I generally take my bike apart and put it together. So you'll have 2 points on the frame where it breaks apart and you dismantle pretty much everything. So that's the SNS computer system. This is the Richie system. I don't know if you can make sense of these photos. One part where it disconnects is the tube junction, and the other part is what the down tube. Again, you have to get the bike later and see what it's like. I'm not going to take it apart because it takes half an hour. But then you can generally get the idea. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just use a cardboard box? I don't want to. We have used it before. Now, the normal bike case, we used a couple of these because before the pandemic, I was working for Cycling Plus in Asia magazine. So we got to test out quite a few cases. And they're great. Some of them give free protection. Oh my god, they're so bulky. They're so bulky. One case requires
One car.
one car on its own. Or if you have two people who are always traveling together, you need an Excel transfer, which gets expensive, especially if you're in a foreign country. In Malaysia, it's not so bad. But then Excel transfer is well.
Yeah.
So, bulky and also heavy. We tried quite a few cases, and I think the lightest you can get would be 9 kgs. The lightest, most of them are usually more than 10 kgs. About 11, so I'm not a big fan of big bike cases, especially if you're using a hard case. Oh, you will max out your weight in pretty fast. Cardboard boxes, this is the favorite for yours. I get it, we have used it in cases like weight, but they're so bulky. They're so bulky. It's like twice the size of our cases. And the other thing is, they're so flimsy. We had a fight where they were left out with the cardboard and it started raining. It was a massive thunderstorm. And the cardboard started to disintegrate. Very good is actually happening to us. One returned to KL. Besides that, I did try using heavy duty tape, cellophane tape to sort of like wrap it a couple of times. It took a couple of hours to tell you I was dedicated to this idea of making it bomb-proof. It was not bomb-proof. It took pretty easily. So didn't really do much. You can sure wrap it and the airport, yes, but that's also extra cost. It doesn't change the fact that it's still pretty bulky. So getting around with it is pretty hard. But that real nice, you just have to drive it around, which is not ideal. In comparison, the material posting is pretty compact. You can post each case for like 2 each, right? Their mean weight is 6 kgs. The rich case is 9 kgs, but that's because it has a bit of a hard frame for protection. But having said that, your bike is in pieces, so it's less likely to break. The most damage we had is a scratch here, a scratch there. That's legit. And if you're upset with one scratch, then it's really very hard for you to travel. I love my bikes, but I want my bikes to be durable. So one scratch, I'll just need.
You can generate it with stickers.
Yes, you can. That is true. And again, extremely portable because they're easy to move around and they are easy to move forward. You can use postal service to send it. It's not costing too much. So, one example. Oh, we are going to the wrong page. Okay, so this is one example. This was in Taiwan, but you get pretty much the same vehicle in a lot of countries as the taxi transfer. It's it's a little wish, and you can fit 3 other cases in the back, and 3 of us, 2 of us and our friend in the car. So you're talking about just one vehicle for 3 bicycles and 3 seconds. And so we saved a lot. If we were using a normal travel day, you're looking at either
One way per person per bike.
yes, which actually did happen because we had another friend with a slightly bigger case. One of the smallest I've seen, but she still had to take a vehicle on her own. It wasn't that expensive. We were in Taiwan, but it's still extra cost. So, and the other picture is actually us picking up our cases at a hotel. We had forwarded it using the normal postal service and brought it up to the hotel and then picked it up, packed it, and then went home using yes, Indonesia. So yeah, these cases don't remain me outside of the session, but they can actually speak on board the FTS.
As long as you're not a group of 8 people. I think if it's just 1 or 2 people,
Yeah.
it's very incognito. It's the problem, I think, is when you have a huge group, and then at that point, you'll just ban everything.
It needs to be found if you're cyclist. So no clothes, no helmets, no shoes, kids, in the station. So you really have to be incognito. And if it's just the 2 of you, it's fine, you can get through. If it's like a group of 30 people, you could not. You might as well try to like a big boss or something. You're not gonna get to even sniff it out. Can you use the Japanese vehicle style? No, you cannot. They know what that is. Because we did it. And even though we did get to Butterworth, when we reached Butterworth, there was a staff that said, "Isang ko basikal, di ba yung suotin?" So they know what it is. They were just being kind to us, not keeping us off the train. Yeah. So yeah.
We couldn't see it. Because sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, but not always. Especially if you're like either settling together. No. Now. Okay. So I travel in Malaysia and abroad. Minor differences. So in Malaysia, we found that it's very flexible with buses. You can do a lot of things with buses, but with the train, limited to very specific lines and a very specific way of travel only. Abroad, it's kind of the other way around. Train travel is generally a lot easier with bikes, or with buses, not so much. They're not as as us, I guess. Yeah. So our bus companies, gotta keep them ready for that. They're a lot more flexible. So yeah, here we go. Number 1 in Japan. This is how you take the train with your full bikes. It does require minor disassembly, but not so bad. The only catch is you have to ride it and carry it. You can't leave it, you have to carry it. So
Still not me.
with your luggage. So my bike, this bike with panniers fully loaded was about 20, which I think is fairly light for heavy touring. Because usually, especially if you're camping, you go a lot heavier than that. So I'm pretty lightweight for this style of heavy touring, only 20. So you can imagine the bike itself is 13, and the other side is like I don't know, 9-ish, 10-ish, depending on how much I've had. So you go one or the other, and you're sort of trying to move around the train station, and then the platform is like maybe 1 kilometer to where you're supposed to be. So
And Japan isn't really that advanced. We thought the some stations where it's just stairs.
stairs, and they get pretty steep too. So no accidents happen. Like I didn't fall or anything. But let me tell you off that I started my strength training a couple of months before we went to Japan. Otherwise, I would be in trouble. But at least it's doable. You can get on any train in Japan. Even the Shinkansen and the small ones, still people, right?
The pre-booking is just at the counter. You just go to the counter, you tell them, I have a bike.
I have a bike.
And then they'll tell you which area.
Which areas it's best for you to sit here or whatever. They won't charge you for bikes. It's free. What? You have to pay for this. We use this for like emergencies. When there's bad weather, or last time our friend had
Last trip felt like an emergency.
almost. We had a friend who had a minor traffic accident, so she couldn't take street ride which means she had to take a taxi transfer, and we had to take the train. We had no choice because the taxi would not take us.
Yeah, it was pretty late already.
It was pretty late, so we had to take the train.
And
At
it was
least,
really, and it was really cold. It was probably like really,
I think it was like 100 pounds.
yeah.
So at least the option is there. So if you're traveling in Japan, we go back. I don't really get much was like, I think wrong you had one when you were there, right? Same one, one bell. One bell.
Actually,
Yeah. So it's not easy, but it's possible. So that's Japan for you. Another thing we love about Japan is the ferries. This is the biggest ferry we've ever been on. It goes from the main Honshu island to the Shikoku, and we were right in Hiroshima. And this was fantastic because when we got off, we realized there were quite a few trailers on the ferry. It's massive. So you've got some buses, a whole bunch of cars, and a couple of trailers rolling off. We were so impressed. I've never seen, I think this is probably the biggest.
One of the biggest, because this one they take all of the transport lorries from Tokyo and Osaka and they funnel it into Shikoku. So this is the main transport line.
It's a big transport line. So it's fantastic. I've never seen anything of this scale. Aside from a cruise ship for transport, this is the biggest actually been on. You had like rest rooms with bunk beds for bus drivers, truck drivers. You had a cafe. You had like one room that was totally vending machines, and there was like a fun area with like carpets you could just lie down. Segregated area for families, for women if you wanted to travel in comfort. And then on the seats, it was fantastic. Outdoor deck, everything. This is a smaller ferry, kind of like the new Penang ferry. So this is one of my favorites as well because at this point we were island hopping and get from one side to another. The names were the jennies.
There's a lot, but this one we were big. This time we were crossing from the Imabari prefecture into Hiroshima.
So small ferry, no road, it fit as many cars, but I think you still have like a small lobby there. Pretty chill. You just sort of tie your bikes to the side railings. So this is great for island hopping and cars. This is what it is. This is not the Shimano Kaido, but one of the other routes nearby in the island area, which, if you ask me, was maybe a little bit more interesting than the Shimano Kaido because there are a lot of heritage spots along the way. If you notice, the three of us.
That one's an interesting one.
This one was.
It's like history.
If you like history, you might find this interesting because this is where you had 40 gates facing the sea, and you're wondering where the corresponding shrine is. And it was actually on an island, not too far out of the sea. And this is where the princess went to pray before they went to invade Korea. So it's a historical place. Pretty cool. This was along the way towards the Shimano Ferry. So we had a lot of fun getting to that area. One with the three of us in front of the authorities. This was Viparai, where all the ships used to stop there for favorable weather before retreating to their journey. So it's also a historical place because you've actually had like all these clandestine talks before they wanted to go through the shogunate, that kind of stuff. Very, very interesting place as well. We might have maybe if we won't prepare the food because it's been on the move compared to Shimano and Kaido. So you're looking at a few other places that are also accessible by train.
Oh, funny story in this one. Yes, we had to pay the train. The weather was beautiful, and we still had to take the train anyway because somebody felt that Google Maps a bit too much. And
The train trip wasn't planned, I tell you. It was just right.
so basically, it was a beautiful climb through a mountain, and then we were reached at the top of the mountain, and then the road stopped becoming a road. And then we're like, okay, let's just try pushing our bikes. And it went from road, the gravel, oh my god, I think this is really for people who need to go out to hikes, big hiking states.
It's a very trail which seems to go anywhere. and there were signs for beware repairs.
Yeah, so I think if it was earlier in the day, we would have just, whatever, just bring the bike and continue. But because it was fall, so sunset was about 4 to 5. So it on the 4 to 5 sunset, and then it wasn't 3 p.m. at this time. And according to the map, there was another 5 kilometers worth of hiking to do. And there was also a sign for beware of bears. So we're like, okay, let's just make the call. Let's head back into town. So that's exactly what we had to do. So we got back into the train station, and then we messaged our friends in Japanese. And we told her, oh, we're back at the train station. We could have just gone. It's like, hey, what? It's already like 4 o'clock at that point. So thankfully, you can take the train.
So we reached our destination thanks to the train. But yeah, a lot of these places are pretty far out. So if you don't take the train in this week, it'll be hard for you to get to the same from Tokyo airport, Manila, or Manila. So utilize the trains that will be easier for you to reach these areas. This is another area which was beautiful in the fall. This is Kaida Bit, which is pretty high up. It's actually a ski area in the winter. Technically, we went off season. I took a call vehicle because I had a friend who arrived late and needed to forward her bike, so we had some logistics. So the echo loaded, it was fantastic. But if you notice down here, have you been to Chicago? Okay, so this is basically
It's a UNESCO.
it's a UNESCO site. You can see it if you go by bus. You can stay there. Most people don't because there's actually nothing to do there except for go to the local fair. But if you're
Awesome. I recommend staying there overnight because you have the entire village to yourself, no tourists to disturb you.
But it's beautiful. So you've got these like factories, houses, and it is UNESCO site. People don't actually live there for fun anymore because they actually depend on government subsidies to keep the village running. So they depend on tourism. Best way to get there is by bike, but you can either climb like crazy or you take a train to the nearest station.
You should have planned. Well, there's an option for bus.
There's
So
an
there is
option for bus. You go by bus, but if you're cyclist, I know you will want to buy. Hey, if I made it, everybody can. So that's Japan. Let's go to Taiwan. So this to me is like, oh, wait, Taiwan to me is way more bike friendly than Japan. Way more. And I know all trains aren't like this with the bike parking or bike parking. A lot of them are more like our commuters and LRTs. But at least we can pick up bikes more, right? So this was great because I remember wanted to cut out some distance and start at a nicer spot rather than cycle all the way out of Taipei. And we just took the train. And it wasn't difficult. I thought even though there's a language barrier for us because we don't speak Mandarin.
But you just show them the bike and they're like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. So some trains allow full bikes, some trains allow bikes that are like most like the Japan style, and some stations don't allow bikes to be picked up. So the staff are generally pretty helpful. So it's pretty easy to buy one or favorite places to go. We try to go every year, except we skip this year. So if you notice, that's Chisholm. I think some of you may be familiar with it, where you have the paddy fields, very beautiful place. We just took the train there with our bikes, full of water, parking it very easy. And then we ended up cycling along the coast. You can get closer to the coastline using the trains as well. But we kind of had like a 5-day journey, so it was pretty nice. You sit there. Technically, the couple people do use it, but it's just a road that goes through the southern. But in Taiwan, a lot of the roads are fairly okay for cyclists as long as you're not on the major busy highways. A lot of their provincial highways, they call it, are actually very bike friendly. I highly recommend Taiwan if you want to start. Exactly. So it's a lot easier to do actually. We have seen equipment because one of my former colleagues stressed that she Travis, and she speaks Mandarin very well. I don't know if it does, but she does. So when we go to Taiwan, she looks super perfect. And hello. Yes. So that's a long process as well. If you notice in Taiwan, I'm not sure if it's familiar with this, but a lot of the old railway terminals have been turned into like bypass. So there will be some parts that are very interesting. It's not the most famous one, just a short one, but they do exist. And again, you can't get to them because it's so far. You can utilize the train.
If you're in Taipei and you want to go close to Kilo, use the amount of pattern like that and follow the river, and then you will cut through quite a lot of the old railway, the old railway tunnels. Because it used to be for coal mining, and it used to be for transporting goods from Taipei to the port. The Kilo is the main port, and if you have to see battleships, all the battleships are in Kilo as well. So that's where basically everybody sees the U.S. Navy, Taiwan Navy ships. Like everyone's always making China's been in trade, so of course they're not, but that's where you can see the naval stuff as well.
So Taiwan is one of our favorites. There's also Korea. So it's always up our suitcases into the luggage compartment. Actually fits, I swear. There's a little bit of work to get filled because I think each case belongs to maybe about 20 kgs. But can actually fit in there. So you can take the trains with your bike cases. We usually have our backpacks as well. So this is really great to get out of the city. There are bike lanes heading out of Seoul, but if you want to go to the more mountainous areas, like this, it's best to utilize the trains in between. So you have a lot of cars heading out of Seoul. So if you notice, this one is actually Mahoy Village, which is also a UNESCO site. You can get there by bus, but we rode to Andong, which is a very nice place as well. These pictures are all just production you can travel by bike. And the rest of the information is practical stuff. We'll show you some of this stuff as well. Of course, why that's what it's been. And along the way, yeah. So this one, I remember it was the very old, like a few hundred years old, Confucian Academy. This one, I can't remember what it was. It was quite a while ago, it was before the pandemic. So, very nice to do Korea as well, the children videos. And these are the bike lanes. I know it's quite famous. We did Seoul to Busan. We did Busan to Seoul. Touched down in Incheon. Took a train, posted our cases with the Korea Post back to our in and then we rode back up. So
And then we took a few detours. That historical village is now, that's one of the detours. It's quite good.
So you can do the first route, but let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with routes. It's just nature. I mean, yeah, Riverside landscape is great, but there's nothing there. So if you want to see things like this, you got to be so there you go. This is the way I took. There have been others in between, but these are the best examples we can give for bike travel and how to kind of get around in your bike logistics and all that. Now, bonus time. Some people actually asked us. This was actually from our first session, which was 4 months ago. This is our emergency essentials. We all struggle with this. I'm doing that example.
Okay. So, I mean, things happen when you're on tour, so we can try to manage it as much as possible. But definitely, all people, the time clock. So we're running tubeless. So if any of you are using tubeless, yes, we can get semen, and you can't stop every single puncture. So there's this nice little tool here that you plug in, like if you're on the car and you get a puncture.
It's like a chatting things for your tubeless parts.
So we've got that. Then all we do, we also have a little electronic pump and extra sealant. And this is the one that we end up saving other people. This is the first aid kit, which is just a simple kit with disinfectant, wipes, and a couple of other things. So we kind of use it on other people to help their bikes.
Even in Yale.
So we always have that with us. What's the next? Yeah.
The next one is the emergency kit.
Minutes.
Minutes. So we have antiseptic spray. Go for needle spray, it doesn't hurt. Like really, it's for kids. I tested it out because I'm a bit of a wuss when it comes to scrapes, and this really is painless. It's in a tiny bit, but in like Dettol or the yellow purple stuff. Outside spray. The ultra-cyclists generally know this because that's what they generally carry. When you have a scrape, it's used it's a big spray bandage. It hurts like hell. But it works. The other one is liquid mask for like smaller cuts or whatever.
That one is very useful in the cold country because I think most, especially when you put gloves, put your clothes on, everything is this starts to feel
Your cuticle.
cuticles start to feel, and it's really painful when it's cold. That solves it. You just put a little bit on it so it doesn't come out. So when you're carrying things, you're putting your clothes on, taking your jacket on and off.
It's like glue. Glue. And then you have assorted plasters and a bit of gauze. The one in the middle is actually bandage that is so adhesive, but you can carry it by hand. So that's pretty useful as well.
We had a friend, she wasn't the first time, so she actually told us which brand because they use that a lot for pets. For animals, and it's very easy. You don't need scissors, you just can carry it. So we'll get the name.
Hand sanitizer, self-explanatory, sometimes you need it, especially when there's no water. Drugs.
Okay.
Whatever drugs you need, right? You always have painkillers, anti-inflammatory, I'm not saying drugs. What you need, sometimes you need Panadol or whatever. Antihistamine is quite important because you have a allergic reaction. Or maybe you have diarrhea, brain charcoal, whatever. And then oral rehydration salt. I think that's quite important because I have barked my guts out after being right. And I think it was just lactic acid buildup. So everything came out one way, then the next morning. So I was so lunya, 20 kilometers the next day of flat. I couldn't do it. I was so heavy, I almost died. I felt like I was dying. And that's when I had to take the train because I won. So oral rehydration is also always good to have. And the last picture is just my clever little carrying case. It's just one of those machine things. Use whatever you want, but essentially it works. Just to keep everything organized in one place. Last slide. So this is our other essentials. I don't know, a lot of people carry this. You've got, it is very essential actually because we had a couple of situations where we arrived and there was no dinner. Really no dinner, and we were in the mountains. And we asked the lady at reception, we were like, there's no dinner. She's like, no, you have to pre-book. We look at each other, oh shit. And then we're like, is there anywhere we can buy food? You know, 30 kilometers away. You have to go through 2 mountain passes. So it was not happening. We had the thing on our feet. There was like sweet potato, and I had some cheese, freeze-dried cheese pasta snack. That was supposed to be my snack on the ride. We ended up being everybody's dinner. We had a couple of cans. The lady was like, here, I baked this loaf of bread, it's fresh. Do you want it? We're like, yes! And 3 cans of tuna. So we used our camping equipment, the little stove, and our camping mugs to make like a cheese, pasta, tuna, dinner, which we made with the bread and the sweet potatoes to thicken it. So that kind of, when everybody went to bed full. Because the next day was also a couple more mountain passes. So I highly recommend carrying. It sounds like it's so bloody on a coffee kit. No, again, very important to have. Because
Everywhere has a coffee shop, especially when it's in the middle of the mountain, a closed road, and you're on the hole, and you need to attack you. It's nice to just stop.
People get really cranky without them wanting to call.
Yeah.
So unbelievable.
But it's nice because you can put your coffee together anyway. And it sounds really trivial, right? But then when you're out there and it's just very much quiet spot and you need the energy and especially in cold countries, you need the warmth. Just lighting that little stove and putting your hands there, that is such a nice feeling.
Besides the normal water bottle, we always have thermos each because we have had nights of cycling in the mountains where the temperature is close to zero, and having a thermos of hot water was fantastic. It was such a lifesaver. So initially we didn't have any of this stuff, but over the years we realized it's actually quite important. One of the best stoves you can get is actually a spider stove.
Yeah, the coffee.
This one. But we should not. And then we also have mini lights that are pretty bike-packing friendly. I think hikers use this one a lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone don't have.
It's actually like a small power bank, which we also use because it might be like 30, 40, 50 kilometers before you can charge. Power bank is also very important. Camping cutlery, and that one at the top is actually it is microwave. So you don't have to worry about filters because the gas landed behind the form. Also available downstairs. So I believe that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for.
I think everyone had a lot of questions to ask, right?
Oh.
A lot of questions, right? Those who ask questions, the first place have free gift. So by all means, if you have any question, just raise your hand. And Nadiah will answer you.
We will try our best.
Yeah, no problem. Do your best. Right? We got different type of special change for those who answer question or ask question. Yes, it's about hormonal.
Beers.
Yeah. Yes, it's a normal time to get your safety. Alright. Any question?
Oi. Well, first, um, this is a very good question. We use a combination of different apps because if you just use one, say for example, you're just using Google, it might not have accurate information. Cross-reference it with Google and also.
Okay, so we are thinking that one question could be a session on it, a future session on its own.
Well, so which one of this session?
The short answer, my full-time job is I work for a software company, so I'm a software guy. I do a lot of software testing and everything, and one thing is you cannot trust one piece of software. You have to get your data across as many things as possible. So there's a lot of different tools that we use for your planning. So depending on the country that you're in, so if you're in Korea, the best app to get all of that data is called Mapper or Kakao Maps. For Japan, a lot of it is from Google, especially for train times and everything. So you basically just ask locals, what do you guys use? So some of them will use Ride or GPS, some of them will use Remote, some of them will use Google. So we'll usually use all three together when we are doing the plan. So
There's a lot of research.
yeah, and basically it is a lot of work. So when we are looking at it, we decide where do we want to go, and then we'll think about this is like for the both of us we really like culture and history, so we'll think of the city that we want to go to. So we'll be thinking, okay, we want to go there. Let's say Aizuwakamatsu, the samurai like capital of Central. Oh, so we want to go there. So to get there, where's the best spot? Which routes? So that's where we will go and take a look at Google Maps, look at everything, take a look at the elevation, and then I use Google Maps Street View to confirm what the road looks like. Because sometimes Google will say, go this way. Then it's like one day when I trusted Google Maps a bit too much. And Google Maps basically said, oh, this other road is closed, but this one is open. The right answer would have been, go to the reception. Excuse me, is this road open? And they said, yes, please take that road. But instead, Google Maps says, no, that road is closed. You should take this one. Go up the mountain. That actually doesn't go anywhere. So, yeah. So the other thing is also ask. Because when we went down, I was overhearing the conversation, and in the next hotel that we stayed at, I was asking the question, is the road open? Oh, yeah, my brother just went through that road. I'm like, okay, that explains it. So basically, as many questions as you have when you are on the location, that's the most important. Ask the locals if the road is open. And then the other one is just use multiple apps. I mean, that's what we've been using. Okay.
For me, the most important aspect to determine your route is Google Street View, because the route may be possible, but it could be a highway for all. Because, like, especially in Malaysia, you don't have the cycling option. You do in Japan, but also if you research here, it might not be accurate when you go over there. So the information there also needs to be cross-referenced as well. If you have a lot of time, like for example, we did one sharing session with a guy who has been touring for 10 years. If you have time like him, fine. You can wait. But we travel on a very tight schedule, so the intensive research beforehand is important. Thanks. The kitchen. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, pick the ones that you
You've got a couple of animals. I don't know what this is like. It's, yeah. For yeah.
5, 4, 3. Okay. Very good service one here. 1, 2, 1. Okay, next.
Thanks.
Any question?
Is there any bad experience on the road, like or like where before we did what is like truck that we found to get doesn't have to be just like condition, but quick agreement or anything. Like, oh shit, bad.
well,
No bears, thankfully.
yeah.
It's funny. It's like,
Well, that worked. Okay.
we're going to forget
I
that.
think the most important is buying it.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, in Japan it is possible to get hit by a car. You think it's perfect? No, Japan is not perfect. I think I once got hit by a car. And
I was hit by a student driver who wasn't paying attention.
so this was like a straight road, but for them it's they can turn. Cars can turn, just going straight. And this lady, for some reason, didn't see it going straight, so she just ended up in front of her. I was like, oh my.
I couldn't break it. Like, because she just went right in front of me. So, but,
very dramatic.
yeah, but the good news in Japan is regardless of who's, like, what actually, okay, in this case, it wasn't her fault, like, the police came by and everything, but over there, the law is, regardless of whose fault it is, if you are a pedestrian, okay, if the cyclist is a pedestrian, it's the cyclist's fault. If the driver hits the cyclist, regardless of the circumstance, it's the driver's fault.
So,
So,
you're an ambulance ride, by the way.
yeah, so I have an ambulance ride, I have an ambulance ride, and then in the end, basically, regardless, they will pay for the damage.
Well, technically,
The insurance companies, I mean, yeah, insurance companies will basically handle it, but
I think it doesn't depend on the fault. Because last year's accident was actually not his fault. Was our
Okay.
friend's fault. So I realized it was
but it was still painful for insurance.
her insurance.
Yeah, but the her insurance had to deal with the Japanese insurance, and they basically said yes.
Okay, so that's one example. We haven't had any bears. I know you were injured of and seeing a bear at a campsite.
Like, I didn't see any bad, but it was upset at the location where
There were bears.
last like few weeks.
Very dangerous. Like, I'm a bit scared of bears in the Japanese countryside, but yeah, we haven't seen anything. The other stuff, I think, that arriving without dinner, we will never forget that. And there are actually a lot of cool times when we came across wildlife. So in Shikoku in Japan, we've run into tanuki, deer, what else? Mostly tanuki, right? And those little raccoon dogs with big balls. Yeah, so you can actually see them.
I have a funny story in Korea. So it was very dark. It was about like 7 p.m. It was pitch black. I can't see anything. So I was hiking in and I thought, hey, it would be really funny if I scared Nadiah. So I parked my bike in the bushes and I was hiding in the bushes. So I thought I would like, jump out. It was a jump scare. But it was very stupid. But I didn't get to do the jump scare. Something else did it. So in the Korean grasslands, you have wild pheasants. So these big birds. So one bird decided that it wanted to commit suicide. So Nadiah was just riding. I was just listening from the bushes, and then suddenly I heard that. I was like,
Oh, it was like a real scream. I was like, what the hell?
yeah. And then apparently there was a bird that just went from a tree and jumped down, and she just saw a flash of a bird where the white light caught, and then
Sorry, you made me feel so bad. It was me at bird, okay? So you're talking about this concrete path. If I tried to, at the right side was just grass, so I would have gone off. I don't know what else was there. And then on my left is my friend, my best friend who travels with us. So it was me at bird. So it was just a massive scream. So, I think we've had funny stories like that. But nothing really crazy bad, I think. Yeah, we've been pretty lucky so far. Not even any earthquakes the entire times we've been to Japan.
we felt the earthquakes. That's what we always miss. Okay, we missed Taiwan. We missed the big ones by 2 days. So this was both in our first time there. We were at Hualien and then we were just having breakfast and you could feel everything shaking. And apparently 2 days ago we were in Taiwan. The big earthquake happened there. So that's where you had like houses collapse.
This coastline at the bottom here and this big picture, a few days after we came back, there was a massive earthquake and the entire coastline was swamped by a landslide and all that.
Yeah, and then in last year, there was just one road that we took all the way to Kilo. And then after a few days after we got back, it was on the headlines. Oh, there's this massive landslide that took out the entire highway. And then I was looking at the TV and I'm like, a minute, that is exactly the road that we're in, the seaside road that we're taking. So we very lucky missed all of these things by a few days.
Yeah, our incidents have just been fascinating. Something really, really scary. Yeah, so it's things like
We've been lucky.
yeah. So that answers your question. You want a keychain? We have.
I want anyone.
Yeah, they're actually quite useful. Is it a cat? Okay.
Okay.
Do you guys know who Ram is?
You can ask me plenty for this.
Yeah. So I've been telling him that actually Ram is also pretty okay. So if you want to talk anybody else to the sharing session, he's one. Sorry. Send him a bit. That's pretty expensive. The last one was Japan. Yes, that's what I do. But yeah, okay. Thanks. If there are any more questions.
I am here. So, but I guess like following what you're sharing on the incident of the traffic incident in Japan. How do you go about you buying insurance when you go abroad? Is that like physical travel insurance or is that something special? That's what is in your travel in Taiwan, how much of it is camping? How much of it is staying in hostels, guest houses, hotels, that sort of thing? And how do you go about booking? Or do you go day by day and booking day by day? How do you go about that?
Three questions. Three questions. Okay, can start with the first one. What was the first one again? Insurance. Okay. So, I suppose the most basic one is your flight insurance, because that usually covers a fair bit. But we do have personal medical insurance that extends abroad and also covers emergency repatriation. So that I think is important. And you also have to look at if it's personal accident or medical, make sure it covers you when you're traveling abroad. The emergency repatriation I think is quite important. It may not cover damage, but if you get something like I believe yes, micro insurance can actually cover you when you're abroad. There are a few companies that do it locally, but like for example, Allianz, they don't cover international travel. It's only local, right? So there are some people who use World Nomads. We've never tried it. We have just been lucky that we haven't had any emergency situations that needed any specific. In our friend's case, the damage was actually covered by her. Well, there's no damage to her. By
Person.
it was the person. So she had her travel insurance cover her medical fees. So that wasn't too bad. In Vegas, stupid accident. It was the lady's fault. So she actually paid for the damage to the bike, which was it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, so basically, in my case, if the fault, at least in the case of Japan, if the fault is found to be by the other person, they will cover everything. So even if I don't have insurance, their insurance covers me. So it depends on the country. So that is if you're, well, I don't want to say, I'm lucky enough to be in Japan when I got hit, and it wasn't my fault. But in that scenario, they will cover all of the above, and you don't even have to call up your insurance at all. You just wait for them to do everything.
Yeah, so at least I think basic medical or personal accident will cover you when you're abroad. And as long as they don't have a clause that say it doesn't apply when you're cycling, it should be okay. For the we have another friend who actually did a combination of personal accident and medical, so it also covers his bike. But if you want something, I think you can check out yes, micro insurance. I think they're really decent. They can also cover you, let's say, for the duration of your trip, I believe. So I think it's pretty negotiable. You can talk to one of their agents. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but that's one thing we're checking out.
I mean, the cost may vary, so it depends. It could be as minimal or as much, depends on how you want, how much you want to cover.
Okay. Question number 2 was how much of is camping, right?
In Taiwan.
In Taiwan.
How much is camping?
How much we having and hotels, whatever. Okay. So here's the funny thing. We have not camped in Taiwan. There are a lot of campsites. But what we've discovered is that hotels are pretty affordable. So a lot of the time we're just like, you want to camp? Yes, just stay.
So basically, this is what happened. We were thinking of camping, but then our Taiwanese friends said, you do realize that a hotel and a campsite cost the same, right?
Yes.
So we're like, okay.
Also, we get a lot of rain in Taiwan because we go in spring, right? So there will be a lot of rain. So we're like, do we want to camp? Maybe not. That's usually what happens. We can consider it, but we just haven't done it yet because a lot of the time is of the essence for us as well. So if we're doing camping, there's going to be set up and packing up.
Our camping trips have been local.
Yeah, our camping trips have been local. So the bike camping so far been around Malaysia. Different considerations, but yeah, not abroad yet. There was one camping trip we were planning to do in Korea, but they implemented the KETA and they didn't let it get in. So we canceled it, and within 24 hours, we had a new trip planned for Japan. So sorry, Korea is not our fault.
We have many friends that went. There are camping. There's a camping route I want to do that.
Then you ask, will we book ahead and all that, right? generally we book ahead because a lot of the places we go to, they're quite rural and there are not a lot of accommodations available. So we really have to do our research and book ahead. It is pressure, yes, because you have to get there in time to check in. Dinner is at a certain time. If you miss that cutoff, no dinner for you. So it is pressure, yes, but for the way we travel, booking ahead is a bit safer. If we had more time, like let's say we could go for like 1 month or 6 months, then maybe we'd be a bit more relaxed and we can care more.
In the event of an emergency, if all we had was a sleeping bag or a baby bag, public restrooms in Japan are actually very clean, very nice places, very warm.
Yeah.
You can go there and get protected from the elements. And then anywhere that's near the jinja, any of the shrines, there's usually a covered area where you can just rest. And sometimes that's where, I mean, especially I've got some ultra cyclist friends, that is their emergency spot. They just rest, get a nap. So yeah, the shrines and temples, there's usually a covered area. The public restrooms, any of the road stations along the way, those are fantastic areas to just catch some rest. If it's really down to an emergency or too tired, you can't go on for whatever reason, those are awesome places if you're in Japan.
But yeah, we book ahead. So the short answer to the question, we book ahead. You want your keychain?
Super.
Yeah, over left. The fox, snake, the lizard, and
There.
parrot. Yeah. Yeah. Good choice. Shiny.
Yeah.
Oh, another question. Wait, why?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Right, so thank you so much for sharing all those beautiful pictures. I'm a mountain person myself. So maybe you got me hooked on that. So that means I remember mine. Yes, you kind of know what my question would be. So what as a as beginners like who want to start, why maybe why the inner science is almost very good that contribute like all the stuff like I want to read and maybe some essentials too that any site can buy for Philippines.
Okay. So being a petite writer is very tricky, which is why I have custom bikes because to get our size is very difficult. There are some companies that have small sizes. If you want to start with, I think you want something lightweight, you can actually check Polygon, which is under Rodelic. They have very good Asian sizing. They do have gravel bikes. Road bikes, it depends on what you want to ride. If you're just doing road tours, the road bike is fine, but you won't be able to use Chinese metal. But having said that, I think going lightweight with the bike style is also okay. Maybe you want to get a gravel bike or adventure bike, whatever it's called. You will have a bit more options in terms of mounting points. So, off the top of my head, I would say I would actually go to Jonathan and talk to the guys there. They have Asian side is better. Other options, like if you wanted a road bike, Leaf is also okay, but I'm not a fan because I don't ride carbon. I don't ride aluminum. All my bikes are steel, which means they can take a beating. I can jump up by and it's still be. I know red carbon, right? I walks rider very fast, so I'm not. I'm more like, hey, let's go and eat there kind of rider. So my bikes are different. So you have to find what works for you, and also get a bike fit because we may be the same height, but our legs might not be the same length. Our bodies. We have a friend, a Japanese friend, is Eka's height, but her legs are about my length. So
She has a very long torso. But then when she was when we're looking at her, yeah, she's my height. But then when she was riding fine bike, we had to put the saddle all the way as low as possible. It's like, whoa, that's like Nadiah's seat height. And it's like her legs are not that long, but her torso was very, very long. So she can reach, but her legs cannot. So
we have a picture of her here.
yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm right next to her. but our legs are the same length. So you have to go for the super expensive bike fit because that does cost you a lot of money. But if you go to a bike shop and they just eyeball you and you up and okay, yours is size, I don't know, 40 or whatever, then they approach the caution because that means they're not looking at your biomechanics. Yeah, I could say go buy a custom bike, but that's going to cost you. So I would like to
Well, we have a friend who will be doing beautiful custom bikes.
yeah, so small ad. So this is the Mason with made in Malaysia. And it's great for if you have very specific sizing. Like I have a very short torso, which I have a curved spine. But my legs are not that short. They're about intense length. So just a little bit shorter. So for me, I had to go custom. That was the best. I have some off-the-shelf bikes. Those are right, Richie, but these custom ones are the best for me so far. So if you're a cyclist, definitely consider going custom. It is worth the investment, I swear.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
And, your bike preferences may also change. And because the thing is, I think the first bike is just get whatever bike you can. Just to know yourself. Don't spend too much, just get whatever bike that's more or less your size. As you ride, you will start to discover what it is that you want.
So I think in that sense, maybe pay a visit to Rubadink. There's a really good big shop in Bangsa, and the guys are really nice. It's near VSC. So tell them they can send you. So they're like, oh, my friends. So they're nice guys, but they're also sort of busy with their stuff. But they're very helpful. So I think that's a pretty good option. They're not really that really heavy on their bikes. And you can talk to them, explain to them. And you can go to the mountains. Yay! With Rob, I don't know, but yeah, possible. Yes, if you want to see more pictures, we can talk here. So yeah, you have an option of a funny lizard or wolf, and yeah, it's extension. Oh, good choice. What's the picture? Okay, we have two more. So I mean, we're not restricted to long questions. Yeah, then two more teachings. If anybody wants it.
Yeah.
This is your hand.
Yeah.
I started cycling last year, and I'm from my Malaysian background, so I just cycle around KL just to go into university or like, from PJ to KL or somewhere like that. So I have a little following my bicycle. So my first impression is like, how can I find a parking, park my bike, and all of these questions. Like I thought maybe there was a software or something. There's no software. You have to collect data from multiple softwares. So I found like, what if I start like an interactive map or something like that? Maybe start with the parking, like bicycle parkings, or maybe for like the street view that we can combine the street view, biking, and this is not like interactive map only for Malaysia. So what do you think about this? I mean,
I think it's a great idea because parking right here is very good.
Yes, I think so. There's this. I think right now it's more about who's gonna fund the project, but I think the need is definitely there because we get this question a lot, especially in cyclists going to different counties. So sometimes, like for example, like places to eat. The minute somebody finds out that this place has a spot that you can park your bikes, they will go there by default simply because it's easy. So people like what's easy for cyclists will look for the convenient spots first. So I think if that information actually starts to be collected and there's, it gets put together into an app or there's some system where we're able to basically publish them and socialize it, I think there's a need. Definitely.
I think I'm going to take on this challenge, but because it's we have a friend, Jeremy Jason, and I don't know if you know him. But he took that wrong because he has been like being cycling activist for a long time. But if he's like, I'm very not on this, you guys will pass the baton to you, and we're like, no, we don't want to do this. But I think there is a huge need for secure bike parking. I think when I was working for Student Magazine, I actually did a survey. I wrote along the train line, the LRT, looking at the stations that have bike parking, and I think you've seen what they look like. It's full of motorbikes that have like a layer of dust on it. It's just been left there. It's not secure. Jeffrey parked one of his fully butts at a train station, and when he came back, the saddle was missing. And it was just a bunch of kids. They looked at the CCTV, lots of police report and all that. It was just a bunch of kids who were like, wait, get a saddle. Just, that's it. It wasn't even like, oh my God, I need a saddle. I need to sell it because I need to feed my kids now. It's just like a stupid thing. So we need secure bike parking. We don't have really secure, like honestly, one of it is just like a railing in the middle of nowhere and you have the, I don't know, lock every single bike to it. And a lot of buildings are not really cycling friendly. They don't actually want you to park your bikes there. So that is a very good challenge. I don't know if you want to take that on, but it'd be great if somebody did. If you did, we'll support you. I just don't want to be the one starting the project. Because
It's a big project.
it's a great project. There are no options for bike parking. In Korea, you have bimetrical lockers where you can wheel the bike in and lock it. In Taiwan, I think people don't really see bikes in Taiwan because they're very honest people. Like, I lost my passport there and I got it back. The next day it was turned into the police station. So they're really honest people, kind of like Japan as well. If you do something here, good luck, you're not going to find it back. And that applies to bikes. So secure bike parking is possible, but nobody seems to see the need to do it here. And it doesn't even require expensive infrastructure. If you ask me, like you can just put a rack where there's security nearby, so it's kind of asset monitoring. But yeah, I mean, if you do it, great, let us know. We will support you whichever way you can. And congratulations on starting something.
Thank you.
Good job. You have I think it's a cobra or a lizard. Funky lizard. Yes.
One, two, one, two. And we have the last kitchen. Cobra. Last
Funky chin.
kitchen.
Funky chin.
One last, like,
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I guess my question is maybe along the lines of for beginners, right? Given your extensive travel, and let's make it specific to easy. What are some rides that you think all of us or anyone who rides a bike should do? Easy level, medium level, hard level in Malaysia. Yeah, it's a bit like. Oh, okay. Not an easy question to answer.
The easy one that a lot of only bike riders like to do because those rides is around the Putrajaya.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I think it's pretty cycling friendly. So Putrajaya, I think it's okay. And if you want to get there from get there from the city, you can take the KLIA Transit or MRT, and then find your way to the lake. So that's okay. We did that on our way to Orion. So that one is a little bit more. I would say it's difficult. I think it's.
Yes, sounds difficult.
Is-
For you telling the in person you want to.
But you can get there.
You can, you have to build up the endurance first. So the easier run first, I would say. Another like medium ride that's actually pretty fun is from Rimbayu to Janjaro. It's pretty fun.
Pretty bad. There's just like refreshments. So that's not too bad. I think the reason why I say moderate is intermediate because there's a bit of rock climbing involved. In that sense, a bit of rock climbing. So if you're new, you just want to follow the route, then the lead for like, if you want to do a bit more of route planning yourself, there are some places you can go to with a train station, like a lake. Not too far from the KTM train station, it's right at the end, right? So that is, I think, fairly easy. Just follow the road and it takes you to town, the whole town. That's okay. Even if you want to go Riverside is not that far from that part of the fine front all the way into where the 4x4 vehicles are. Just cycle up a little bit off the main road and you're already at the river. A couple of campsites along the way, that's not bad. What else? Well, we've been to train, we went to Baganong as well.
Yeah, Park is pretty. That's also very easy. So, but anything from
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Langkawi.
Langkawi?
Langkawi is lovely if you have the time to go.
Wait, there's one thing you can do if you want to go to Langkawi. You take a bus to Perlis. They will charge you for your bikes because they do motorcycle transport. But at least it's possible. So I think it's about 8 hours, right? Ram has done it, so you can ask him. The guy in the press shirt, being very serious. But he's done it, so you can ask him. We rolled up, and they met us there. So that's one thing. You can take a bus to Perlis, and then from Perlis itself to get to the jetty. Kuala Perlis is not that difficult. Perlis is pretty flat unless you go like once again. And then you can take the road ferry to Langkawi. But coming out of the jetty in Langkawi, it's really, but it's a pretty easy road in the sense that if you just keep going, eventually you will reach Kampung area and then eventually Tengah, right? Yeah, so it is doable. Just take your time, relax, make sure you have enough water because that stretch can get pretty hot and deserted before you reach the Kampung. But yeah, even Langkawi actually it's not too bad if you ask me. Yeah. We can. We can. Well, next year. So yeah, that's possible. There's another one that we can do. If you want to go, it's West Coast. It requires a little bit of route planning, but it's not so bad. So you take a commuter all the way to Klang. So Klang, not Klang, in the old town area. And then you can find your way out of Klang to Jeram, and you pass by Kapar, and then you reach the Jeram, that side, the coastline. That's also quite nice. It's, if you're okay with dogs, that route is okay. I am definitely afraid of dogs because I have been chased all the times. I'm extremely traumatized by dogs. So, what's up?
They like you.
Yeah, apparently. Maybe you want to give me like, oh, she's 8'5", moments. 8'5" is good. So that's not too bad because it goes through like Cambodia, Cambodia, and then you will reach the coastline. But that's also doable, a little bit more rough planning, but flat. So I think
Nice to explore.
nice to explore fairly easy. Yeah, you don't have to surround thousands of the one. What else? Oh, you can ride to KKB actually. You can take the train, get off at KKB, and you can go-up racers. I don't really want to do that. I tell you, it's highly doable. Races is not that bad. It's not that bad. So just take it slow, just relax. Or you can just KKB. You can just go to the lookout point at the snuggle there, and then you have a bit of chill. Come back down, have some, chicken chop, whatever. So that's also doable. One thing you can do is, there's another lady who asked me like, how you plan, right? So like, what thing you can do is, you look at the train line that allows bikes, and if you're folding bike, even better because you have way more flexibility. All days of the week, you can use multiple train lines as long as it's not peak hours. So look at each station and look at, let's say you don't want to cycle more than 30 kilometers. So look at what you can find within like maybe 15 kilometer radius. But if you ask me, if you're cycling somewhere, you're having a time, whatever, when you come back, you don't actually feel the whole distance. Yeah, because you're relaxed, you're not rushing it. Because when we did Warwick, from train station is 50. We were hanging out at the beach, at lunch, maybe have a lamp or whatever. Then we're coming back, it's another 50. But it doesn't feel like a 100. It sounds insane, but actually it's okay. But it's a little bit of rock bending. So, doable. Yeah. I think Langkawi is maybe intermediate because of the distance you're going. But other than that, actually it's not that close. So that's your question. Kitchen.
What's special brown?
But the overall is right.
Right. I think the car you want to use normally, right?
No.
Here, right? Oh,
I think so.
So, everyone still can hang out here. So, if you have any other question, you can ask Ethan, right? Ask for permission, but and ask me.
It's your
So, before we actually can we have a group photo?
Sure.
Okay, I think Ethan and I can stand together. Yeah, show your wife. Show your wife. Sitting like this. So everyone just come in the
Front.
front here.
Hey, bro. Always enjoy your videos. Thank you. Finally with you.
you should do a session.
You did, bro.